Thank you for joining us. Well done for taking this step forward to find your flow. It's great to see you back again. All you need for this workshop is yourself, an open, curious mind. Tissues or a handkerchief might just be helpful today. It's always good to take notes, and it's always good to have a drink too. Today, we're going to be exploring resistance and many different tools for managing resistance using various awareness practices. Overcoming resistance. So I'm going to start off by sharing a little about the ancient art of Ho'oponopono, which is dotted throughout the course. It's a shamanic practice from Hawaii used for reconciliation. Ho'oponopono is where we witness or identify our thoughts and then take 100% responsibility for them so that we can let them go and return to our zero state, which is pure love. Morna Simeona created Sith Ho'oponopono as we know it today. She realized that thinking is being engaged in our data or memories. And when we tune into love, which is our pure state through the art of love, repentance, forgiveness, and gratitude, we can clear our mind's data, and the cleaning enables us to discover our inner peace. By identifying thoughts which no longer serve us, we can change our perception of our world. And we can achieve this through loving awareness. Loving awareness is simply looking at or witnessing ourselves from a place of love. Now, I discovered loving awareness through Ram Dass, and this quote here is from Ram Dass. Thoughts are terribly seductive, but you don't have to identify with them. You identify not with the thought, but with the awareness of the thought. To bring loving awareness to everything you turn your awareness to is to be love. So let's explore resistance. One might call habit a moral friction, something that prevents the mind from gliding over things but connects it with them and makes it hard for it to free itself from them. Resistance is actually when something in our mind causes friction. Resistance is, according to the Cambridge Dictionary Online, the degree to which a substance prevents the flow of an electric current going through it, or the act of fighting against something that is attacking you, or refusing to accept something, or a force that acts to stop progress or slow it down. So when it's saying a force, it could be a person or it could be a thing. So here, this picture is a lot of monks saying and they're all sat in front of what's called a resistor from an electric circuit. And it says the degree to which a substance prevents the flow of an electric current through it in the title. And it's saying, the picture's saying that when we see resistance, we can overcome our resistance through tuning into ourselves. And before we move forward, I want to just explain what I mean when I say highest good, because highest good is really important to get our heads round, to enable us to do the practices contained in today's sessions. So is this for my ego or my highest good? So we don't let our ego choose the station anymore. The first step to reclaiming our power is to consciously respond. That way we develop our awareness. The world is divided into people who think they're right. And that's true. How many people in the world think they're right? Everyone, right? You know, I think I'm right, you think you're right. And there's not many people alive who don't think they're right when it comes to some kind of subject. This week, I have been watching a debate between meat eaters and vegans in a spiritual group that I'm part of. The resistance, the separateness and divide is huge. Both parties believe they're right because they feel that their way is best. None are listening to hear. They're listening for the gap so they can speak and make another attempt to push their perspective. And I'm sure you can resonate with that. You've seen it where maybe you've taken part in a conversation where maybe you think you're right, someone else thinks they're right. And it's both two people pushing their perspective. Neither one's actually listening to the other. And neither person is wrong in their personal choices. Ego stops you understanding because ego stops you listening. It prevents you hearing fellow souls. The egos for the people in the group is keeping them from detaching from their own righteousness. So rather than let go and go, look, I'd rather be free than right, which is another Ram Dass quote. They're so clinging on to their being right that they're not able to see truth with a capital T or highest good. There's two truths in life. One has a little t, and that's just what we believe to be true. And truth with a capital T is absolute truth. There's a little picture here saying ego stops you getting things done and getting people to work with you. That's why I firmly believe that ego and success are not compatible. Because how do you become successful if you're not going to grow, if you're not going to learn? In psychology, this is called experiential avoidance. So where a person is so caught up in avoiding sitting with themselves and others with loving awareness, they miss the actual point. Neither can grow together through understanding, which is the highest good. They just become more and more divided. Experiential avoidance, here I've just put a little note in for you so that you can see it's the intent to alter or avoid the form, frequency or intensity of private experiences, so it's your own personal inner experiences, such as thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations or memories. Even so, you're even like trying to avoid it, even when doing so comes at a cost. So it could be unnecessary, it could be ineffective or costly to your health or your pocket. Loving awareness and or showing compassion for the self and others bridges the divide between ego and the highest good. Love is the bridge between everything. So it's the bridge between you and everything else. This is a quote from Rumi. So you need to look at one. So establishing what your highest good is, you need to look at what was your original intention before you got caught up. Now, goals keep you focused on doing with the expectation of a future outcome. And if you remember, it's all about now. Now is all there ever is. So if we're looking at something that's not happened yet, I mean, goals are great, right? But it's not an intention. An intention's keeping you focused on being in alignment with your core values, with your values, what really matters to you in the now. So what's actually matters for you right now? And what was your original intention before you got caught up in being so right? Can you tune into that? And number 2, we need to ask ourselves, is this desire something that genuinely would benefit my health and well-being? Or is this a desire of the ego, one in which I'm looking for something selfishly that would be related to gaining more than I actually need? For example, I want a car, okay? Now, I'm going to look at what my ego wants. My ego wants to look good. It wants to maybe get a Lotus Elise, something a bit flashy. The fact that it gets a high fuel bill, high insurance, no room for shopping, no room for passengers. It'd never go over a speed bump. But hey, what does that matter when you look good? Or my highest good is unselfish. It's considering others. It's considering everything else. It's eco-friendly, a practical car. Is it within budget? Is it easy to run and maintain? So my ego wants something like, maybe it wants a hybrid. Maybe it wants an electric car. But for me personally, my personal choices are not into lithium batteries. So for me and my personal choices, I just want a good old car with very little electrical issues and things. So I'd say a Renault Kangoo, Citroen Berlingo, something like that, something small, practical and really helpful. I can get more than me and my mate in it, if I need to put the animals in, not a problem. And the third thing we need to consider with, is it for the highest good? Does it align with my core values? Core values are for highest good, they're not for ego. When you live according to your principles, an authentic you emerges. So that emerges when we tune into highest good. That doesn't tune in when we tune into our ego. We're not living according to our principles. We're not living according to our values. We're living according to our conscious and our emotional mind, which isn't necessarily for our highest good. Now, our ego is attached to our reptilian and limbic brain. This is our survival brain, and it's been hardwired to keep us safe over thousands of years. So I've got a little picture here, and it's saying that it's showing the body, mind, and ego mind. It states that the reptilian mind brain is known as the body mind. And the emotional mind and rational mind are known as ego mind. Now, the emotional mind is also the limbic brain. So the reptilian mind is the survival, the very primitive brain. Limbic is the emotional mind. It's also connected deeply to our survival. And when you have the reptilian and limbic, as well as the front, the neocortex brain together, it's known as the triune brain. So our highest good is connected to our prefrontal cortex. This is the part of our brain that's connected to logic and reasoning. It helps us express ourselves and understand our world, and it's deeply linked to our higher awareness. We can rewire our brains to work for our highest good through repetition and teaching ourselves that it is safe to move away from our survival mind and emotional mind and move towards loving awareness. So a loving awareness practice is incredibly good at bringing our prefrontal cortex back online. So we've got another image here, and this image is showing the brain, and it's showing kind of a scale. So we start at I, and it's talking about our reptilian brain and our limbic brain. It's all about resistance. When we're under fight, flight, or freeze or fawn, what happens is our body shuts down and brings everything to only what's necessary. It stops our body running anything unnecessary and keeps it in a way that we're able to run, or we're able to play dead, or we're able to fight if we need to, or talk our way out of the situation. So it resists what is. It doesn't have, our body in that state of being does not have the capacity to move in and talk to people and reason things out. It's too scared. So we're very much in I mode. It's all about us and just keeping ourselves safe. And we're not able to trust ourselves or anyone else in that state of being. As we move on up, we become skeptical. So as we're moving into our limbic brain, where we can become skeptical, but we're willing to maybe open up to possible things, but we are very, very cautious. And moving on even more, we can maybe trust, but we're very wary before we trust anything or anyone else. Only when we come into our prefrontal cortex that we're able to experiment to see what really is safe. And only then can we move into a state of high trust where we become co-creators, and we enter the state where we can work with we. We're able to connect and communicate and express ourselves and really contemplate life, the universe and everything, feeling safe, secure and grounded. To move from the state of I to we really have to learn to listen and really just bring ourselves to center, to allow ourselves to move slowly and safely whilst feeling secure from that state of I to we, as we bring ourselves online through resetting our parasympathetic nervous system, which we do through listening, breath work and things like that. So our highest good always does what's right for everyone and everything, because it's not selfish, but it isn't selfless either. You know, it wouldn't just give itself up. It's our inner sage, our highest and wisest self. So now we're going to look at resistance. We're going to look at resistance when we are not living in the moment, but caught up in past or future perceptions. When we say yes and mean no. When we consciously or subconsciously don't want to let go. When we cannot think clearly due to too much static created by other thoughts, which is the monkey mind. When we're feeling pressured into letting go or holding on to something, or when we're not living in the flow or not following our intuitive guidance. So we're going to start with when you are not living in the moment, but caught in past or future perceptions. Most of us have spent our lives caught up in plans, expectations, ambitions for the future, in regrets, guilt, or shame about the past. To come into the present is to stop the inner war. And this is a quote from Jack Cornfield, who is an amazing mindfulness practitioner and practicing Buddhist. When we are not in the present, but are focusing on what was or might be, we're caught in our perceptions. So we contemplate who's to blame. So we might be blaming or thinking about blaming, like whose fault is it? It could be our parents, it could be the government, it could be the education system, it could be anyone, really. The benefit of blaming people is we can avoid taking responsibility for our own actions. A common fear is we fear of accepting what actually is in the moment. So I'm going to invite you to take part in this awareness exercise. Remember, these are going to be awareness exercises. It's not a judgment exercise. Be kind to yourself. So take a moment to pause and reflect on, have you been caught up in reliving your past or caught up in perceptions of the future? Turn inwards. Ask yourself, what would happen if I stayed in the present moment? Is there any truth in that? Now, it's a fact that the present moment is the only moment available to us, and it is the door to all moments. Now we're going to explore when you say yes and you actually mean no. Sometimes in life we say yes to something, not because we feel yes, but because we feel by saying yes, it makes life easier than saying no. Example, we say yes to lending out our tools or our property. The benefit is we really want to help someone out of a situation. And the common fear is that we might not get our property back, or it may not be taken care of. I'm going to invite you to take part in this awareness exercise. Remember, this is an awareness exercise. It is not a judgment exercise. It's not about self-blame or shame or criticism. It's simply raising your self-awareness of the situation, observing, becoming a witness. So I'd like to just invite you to take a moment to pause and reflect on, have you been saying yes when you actually mean no? You can turn inwards and ask yourself, what would happen if I say no? So if you've been saying yes when you mean no, what would actually happen if you say no? Now, is there any truth in that? Like, is there any truth whatsoever in what you're telling yourself? These are really good exercises to find out what your limiting beliefs are. See where you're holding yourself back. Fact is, when we assume anything, the chances of us being correct is minimal. We're assuming based on our perception, but our perception is our own. No one else will share exactly the same perception as you. Don't assume because you make an ass out of you and me. It's always is just best to ask. Just check in, say, look, I don't want to assume anything, but am I correct in thinking? You know, put it out there, ask the question. You can be amazed at what actually happens when you ask the question. Now we're going to look at when there is something that consciously or subconsciously you don't want to let go of. It's not really letting go of the past that's the problem. It is coming to terms with letting go of a possible future that will never be. That is the struggle. The mind wants to keep its fantasies when even they are wrong, unhealthy, dangerous, or even cruel. To let go of the past, you must let go of the future and live here, now, in the present. Sometimes in life, we think that we want to stop doing something, only we're actually receiving more from the something. Just subconsciously, we're actually receiving more from it, and fear that if we let it go, we could end up with losing more. I mean, this is very often subconscious. So smokers want to give up smoking often. You know, this isn't all, but smokers who want to give up smoking, but out of smoking, they get a quick way to relax. And it's an appetite suppressant. Sometimes it can cost less to smoke than it costs to eat food, which is crazy, but true. A common fear is, if I gave up smoking, I won't cope with life. Like, how will I manage just doing stuff? Like, because the smoking is, that's something that they kind of hang on to, thinking that it's giving them relief from the situation. So I'm going to invite you to take part in another awareness exercise, remembering this is not a judgment exercise. It's an awareness exercise. It's raising your self-awareness of the situation. Please take a moment to pause and reflect. Are you trying to stop something that you benefit from, but didn't really realize that you benefited from it? Turning inwards, asking yourself, in what way do I benefit from this something? And is it really for my highest good? So are you trying to stop something that you benefit from, but didn't realize that you benefited from it? So in what way do you benefit from the something? And is it really for highest good, or is it just your ego getting a hold of it, keeping a hold? The fact is, the most beneficial changes occur when we stretch or step out of our comfort zone. So I've got a diagram here on the screen, and this diagram just shows our comfort zone. And it shows that in our comfort zone, where we're feeling safe and in control. It also shows around the comfort zone is our fear zone. And it's where we've got a lack of confidence, we find excuses, and we can be affected quite easily by other people's opinions. But just around the fear zone is our learning zone. And we can deal with challenges and problems in our learning zone. We're acquiring new skills, and we can extend your comfort zone by entering through the fear zone into the learning zone. And again, outside the learning zone, we enter our growth zone. In our growth zone, we find our purpose, we live our dreams, we set new goals, and we conquer objectives. So by being in that safe and in control space in our comfort zone, we can just stretch out and face our fears, sometimes with help, and sometimes we can do it on our own. But by facing our fears, we can enter the learning zone and enter a period of growth and development, which is amazingly, just amazing for our personal evolution. Now we're going to explore a little about when we cannot think clearly due to too much static created by other thoughts, which is like our monkey mind. And on a diagram here, we've got a little monkey. It says, I wish I could change. I'm afraid of change. Why did that have to happen? What do I really want to do in life? Is this it? Am I really happy? What next? What next? When will I get what I want? And what if it's never? Sometimes there is so much going on. We cannot think clearly. Our mind can bring up so much that we don't know where to begin, and we often feel overwhelmed by our thoughts. When we have mind fog or can't distinguish between one thought and the next, it is one big spaghetti junction of thoughts. The benefit is completely unknown, but our normal does bring familiarity and comfort. What we live and believe becomes our normal, and our normal brings familiarity and comfort. So the benefit that's not really that beneficial is that we're in that familiar, comfortable territory. A common fear connected with this is, if I stop, things are going to get worse. I'm going to invite you now to take part in this awareness exercise. Please remember, it's an awareness exercise, not a judgment exercise. This is to raise your awareness of self. So please take a moment to pause and reflect that when you pause during your day, can you think straight? Or does the mind chatter cause a short circuit so that you can't find a moment's peace? Turning inwards, ask yourself, am I able to sit with my thoughts without more thoughts of self-judgment or criticism? So when you pause during your day, can you think straight? Or does your mind chatter cause a short circuit so you can't find the moment's peace? Are you able to sit with your thoughts without more thoughts of self-judgment or criticism, without that spiral? And is what's happening really for your highest good? Is it? Fact for you now. When we ignore our thoughts, they collect inside and develop a huge undercurrent of judgments, thoughts and emotions and unhealthy patterns. It makes us grumpy and reactive. It slows us down in our ability to make the best decisions, and it narrows our perceptions. It shuts down our immune systems and creates a number of mental health issues. This undercurrent will eventually need to escape. The result of this dis-ease is dis-ease manifesting in the body, in things like heart disease, stroke, burnout and breakdowns. A whole lot more. They're like your main ones. I'd like to invite you to now write down this affirmation and repeat it daily. I give myself permission to sit with my thoughts and feelings, good and bad. Feel free to screenshot it if you're able. Stick it on your phone, a phone screen. Have it as a screensaver on your laptop. When you see it, repeat it to yourself as many times a day as you can. I give myself permission to sit with my thoughts and feelings, good or bad. Repeat this one more time because it's so important. I give myself permission to sit with my thoughts and feelings, good or bad. So give yourself permission to breathe, to live, to laugh, to love, for the divine lies inside you, ready to be awoken, ready to be set free, ready to vibrate to all the colours of the rainbow and between the tiny, tiny spaces of non-existence. So now we're going to look at when we are feeling pressured into letting go or holding on to what we don't want anymore. It's a funny one. People may not believe that you want to change. People may not want to change. They might be content with you as you are. Don't forget, anything outside of what's familiar feels uncomfortable. People may not want to support your change. You may feel that they lose something, but those people don't rule your destiny. As long as you believe in your change, your transition will take place. So stay focused. Sometimes in life, we want to stop something or make changes that serve our highest good. This can often be met with the resistance and disapproval of others. Example, I wish to change my diet. The benefit is I believe that if I change my diet, I can become healthier, I can lose weight, and I can feel more energized. Common fear here is for partners and family members is they're used to their diet, they're used to what's familiar, and they don't desire change. They're quite happy being in that comfort zone, and they believe that if we change our diet, they may have to change. They may not want change. They may not be ready for change. They believe they're going to lose something that they enjoy. So I'm going to invite you to take part in this awareness exercise, remembering it's not a judgment exercise, it's an awareness exercise. So take a moment to pause and reflect. Am I trying to make a change for my ego or my highest good? Like seriously, am I trying to make a change for my ego or my highest good? Turning inwards, asking yourself, in what way does this change affect others? So am I trying to make a change for my ego or my highest good? In what way does this change actually affect others? Is this really for my ego or my highest good? So we're all unique individuals born with free will. We have no right to judge or criticize others, and they have no right to judge or criticize us. They have their life lessons, we have ours. When we give up our choices, which would help us live a happier and healthier life, it will cause us to hold a grudge or hold some form of resentment, which hides below the surface and grows with time. It's like an undercurrent. It makes us incredibly unhappy, causes passive aggression. There's a little image here, and it just says, on the other side of resistance is the flow. So now we're going to look at when we're not living with the flow or not following our intuitive guidance. While we benefit from not listening to everything that fear peddles, we never benefit from ignoring our intuition. To do so is to ignore the very essence of who we are, including our needs, our boundaries, and our values. I believe so many people live with what I call that false identity. They are living according to other people's expectations, associations, experiences, and the labels in life, and they buy into that. Sometimes in life, we are motivated to live by the expectations, needs, and desires of others. And by doing so, we neglect ourselves. We fill our schedules and live to exist and believe happiness is coming from an outside source, often them. For example, a parent may expect you to study and become a doctor. The benefit of doing this is living for others can bring us a satisfaction, and we can receive gratitude and feel purposeful. This is not a long-term thing. You know, for this time we'll feel purposeful, we'll get satisfaction, but it will end. We want to find more of a long-term happiness, not a sort of short-term happiness, where our happiness comes from inside. The common fear is I don't want to let down the parents. I don't want to let down anyone if I don't continue to live in this way. So I'm going to invite you now to take part in an awareness exercise, remembering it's a judgment exercise. It's not a judgment exercise. This is an awareness exercise. This is about raising your awareness of self so that you can be an observer, be a witness to what's going on, and catch yourself out and bring yourself back into balance with loving awareness. So take a moment to pause and reflect. Am I flowing with life, or am I going against my intuition in some way? Turning inwards, ask yourself, am I working against my intuition? Am I flowing with life, or am I going against my intuition? I'm actually working against my intuition. Feel into this. Feel into, am I actually working against my intuition in some way? And is this really for my highest good? Ducks in the pond. I'm very happy ducky. I'm going to tell you a little story now. And it's a tale of two wolves. You may have heard it. You may not have heard it. You may have heard of one version of it. So I'm going to share with you this particular version that I like very much. A Cherokee chief speaks to his grandson about life. The battle rages inside of me, he says. It is dangerous, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, lies, superiority, and ego, he continued. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, empathy, generosity, truth, and faith. The same fight goes on inside of you and inside of everyone. Grandson pondered his words and asked him, which wolf will win? The old Cherokee smiled and replied, if you feed them right, they both win. Story goes on. You see, if I only feed the white wolf, the black wolf will hide in the dark, waiting for me to falter so it can pounce and get the attention that he craves. He will be angry and will always be fighting with the white wolf. But if I acknowledge him, both he and the white wolf can be satisfied and we all win. For the black wolf has qualities that I need, and the white wolf lacks tenacity, courage, fearlessness, strength of will, and resourcefulness. The white wolf instead provides compassion, caring, heart, and the ability to value the needs of others over my own. You see, the two wolves need each other. Feeding only one and starving the other eventually makes both uncontrollable. Caring for both wolves allows them both to serve, so that you can do something greater, something good with your time on earth. Feed them both and you will quiet their internal struggle for your attention. And when there is no battle inside, you can then hear the voices of deeper knowledge that will guide you in choosing the right path in every circumstance. Peace, my son, is what we all must strive for in this life. He who has peace inside has everything. He who harbours a storm within his heart and soul has nothing. How you choose to treat the opposing forces within you will ultimately determine how you live. So the fact is that when we live in alignment with our highest good, we find our natural balance and become motivated to live for the highest good of all. This means that we can drop our stories and the high expectations that we lived by. This includes social conditioning and limiting beliefs which no longer serve us. We can live our lives in balance and it flows. Life will have less resistance. Today I will realise that I'm powerless over other people's expectations of me. I'll think about what I want and consider that how I respond to others' needs will affect the course of my life. I will own my own power and choose the course that's right for me. Life is supposed to be easy. We're supposed to live in flow motion, where we think, feel and act from a place of loving awareness with a heightened sense of love and understanding. No longer living as victims of circumstance, but victors of our life's experience. Those who flow as life flows know they need no other force. Every time there's a problem, notice that you're always there. Problems are only problems if we think that they are. So the world that we see is our projection. It's built up from our perception. In other words, what we see and feel and think is influenced by our past memories. Our memories live in our data bank and are stored in our mind or thought processor. Memories form our identity or our ego. They tell us what is safe and what is unsafe, and they create our perceptions and our judgments. So real but not true. Often the stories that we tell ourselves, they're not true. They contain very little or no facts. They were created with our memories and are often altered each time that we repeat them. It's our limbic and emotional brain trying to keep us safe. Reliving things that did happen is unnecessary and it does not serve our highest good. We are here and this is now. So some people feel that their stories are really important to them. And the ironic thing is we have to accept what has been and we have to get to really know ourselves before we can drop our stories, before we even realise that actually they didn't matter. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's perfectly true. So reliving things that did happen it's important to be able to tune into ourselves and let go of things that we're storing. We don't have to relive traumatic events, because we can let them go and let them be in other ways. There's other ways of being kinder to ourselves that enable us to process what is and what was and what can be, and be here in the moment, truly embracing the now, without putting ourselves through things, without giving ourselves such a hard time. It is possible to find our peace and be able to let go of the incredible things that we've been through in our life, and find a beautiful place of being in acceptance with ourselves, with a whole new perception of our world and our being. If we just learn to be kind to ourselves and explore new ways of doing and being. When we get lost in our stories, we can lose touch with our actual experience. We lean into the future, rehash the past. We leave the living experience out of this present moment, and our trance deepens, because it's like being in a trance. So it deepens as we move through the day, driven by I have to do more to be okay, or feeling I am so incomplete, I need to do more to be happy. These mantras, these inner things are affirming what we don't need. They reinforce that belief, that limited belief, the trance belief that our life should be different to what it is right now. So we're able, through certain practices, particularly the ones that I'm sharing today, to move away from reliving our past, to stop being in our future perceptions and tune back into the here and now. We greatly benefit from turning inwards and accepting the feelings that we feel. They're absolutely real. No one's denying that. But the story, as we're knowing it or repeating it or reliving it today, is not true. It's been distorted by time and perception. By asking ourselves, is this story true? Is this story really, really true? What are the facts in this? We can weed out our personal lies, our personal limiting beliefs. We're now going to look at how we overcome resistance. Buddhist mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. It's used to overcome resistance. It is believed to hold the truth of the nature of suffering and how to remove its root cause. The chant contains 6 Sanskrit words. Om is the vibration of the universe, and it's believed to destroy ego and attachment when chanted. Ma is to establish ethics and sever our connection to jealousy. Ni, and not the Knights of Ni, but Ni establishes patience and removes our attachment to desire. Pad removes attachment to prejudice and establishes perseverance. Me, not me, but me, the Sanskrit word, releases possessiveness and establishes perseverance. Hum removes attachment to hatred and establishes wisdom. To find more Om Mani Padme Hum chants, songs, affirmations, YouTube is a really good source where some stuff is just really, really cool. There's some amazing meditations on there that that help you to tune in deeply to the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. So now, as we're living right now, you can choose to pause and connect to the breath. And you place your hand on your chest and notice that your chest rises and falls. Notice that you're breathing. You didn't try, you just are. And just be with that, allow it. This allows us to connect what is real and enables us to find safety and security that each current breath can bring us. You may feel resistance at some point. If you remember to just put your hand on your chest, drop it into your body. Notice that your hand rises and falling. Notice that your chest expands and contracts. And just be with that. It's a beautiful thing. And it just drops you straight back into the present moment. Anxiety and panic, or anxiety attacks and panic attacks, are symbols of resistance. They happen when we face something that we don't understand, and they prevent us doing what we were originally intending to do. When we resist physical sensations, emotions, circumstances, and thoughts, we can end up with increased anxiety, which lead to anxiety and panic attacks. When we feel resistance of any kind, it can help us to really connect to our breath. So a simple method my mum taught me. She used to say, take a deep breath and count to 10. And then she'd say, now just think before you say anything. Now I'm all grown up, I adjust it. So I take a deep breath and I then allow myself to become aware of my thoughts. So if you just take a deep breath, count to 10, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just allow yourself to become aware of your thoughts. Just helps give you that moment to pause and notice, so you can be more responsive rather than reactive. A great way of coping with anxiety or panic can be becoming aware of the sensations of the breath in your body. If you just sit with yourself and notice that you breathe in, usually helpful to breathe through your nose, and notice there's a difference in your nostrils. It can be temperature, it can be sensation, it can be like a tingling. The temperature can change. It's different as you inhale and it gets to the back of your nose. Another thing we can do is tap. This bit here is called a collarbone. So you can see. And the collarbone is one of our acupressure points. It's part of the meridian system. By tapping on our collarbone with one finger, 2 fingers, or our hand, our fist. By tapping and just tapping, it helps reset the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps when you do all your different meridian points, but what was found, science found that When we tap ourselves, it resets our parasympathetic nervous system, brings our prefrontal cortex back online. So it's really important sometimes to just tap, ideally in one of these points. I will go on to EFT, which is the emotional freedom technique, in another session. Another practice that we can do, particularly specifically for anxiety and panic attacks, is when we inhale through the nose for 4. So inhaling through the nose, not the mouth, the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we breathe out of the mouth for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In through the nose, 1, 2, 3, 4. And out through the mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When we're in the middle of a panic attack and we're trying to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth, the chances are you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as you do that practice, it's the pauses between the 1, 2, 3, 4 and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are going to get longer. And as you reset and reoxygenate your blood and really just settle right down, the spaces will get longer. It's also good to sing, because when you're singing, it puts your breathing right. The Ho'oponopono practice is used for resistance. With Ho'oponopono, we turn inward, so we're taking a pause, reconnecting to our breath to bring us back to center. We're witnessing our thoughts and bringing to mind whatever's frustrating us. And then we're applying the 4 affirmations. So we're saying, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. And we can repeat that. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. In Ho'oponopono, we clean the thought. So we're cleaning it, we're letting go of the resistance and anything that's imbalanced in there. We're making right by acknowledging that we love ourselves despite whatever's frustrating us. We're sorry for our unbalanced perceptions, language, and behavior. We forgive ourselves because we did the best we could with what we had at the time. And we're so grateful that we get the chance to put it right. This is known as a mindfulness practice. Pretty much a lot of what I do is a mindfulness practice. Mindfulness is simply when we pause and allow ourselves to connect to this moment in the here and now through thoughts, feelings, and senses. We're looking at just what is without judgment, without blame, shame, or anything. We're just not giving ourselves a hard time. We're just going, okay, this is how it is. We're allowing the thoughts and feelings to just be. I've got a little picture there and it just says allow, follow, accept, hold, sense, pause, sense, follow, hold, allow, appreciate, attend, listen, greet and acknowledge and reflect and admit and listen. Self-compassion is vital. It's a vital part of self-stewardship. To tune into self-compassion, we must tune into mindfulness, self-kindness, and common humanity. The mindfulness is being aware of the physical, emotional, or mental pain of the moment. Self-kindness is treating ourselves with kindness and considering what we really need in that moment. And the common humanity is recognizing that these experiences are a normal part of us being human. There's nothing wrong with us. You know, this is just part of the human experience. So knowing that as a human being, these things are normal. Have mercy on yourself. And when resistance is just too much, sometimes there is just too much mind chatter to sit with our thoughts. Sometimes there is too much resistance to enable us to feel. And sometimes there are too much static to enable us to see or hear the inspiration or see resources. Sometimes there's too much to lose to let go. And sometimes we feel so alone as a result of the pressure. We feel stuck. I have a little picture on the screen and it says, I just need to calm down. Calm down, the words calm and down are scrubbed right out. Because if I'm feeling like this is all too much, it's because it is. Sometimes we feel like it's all too much because it is too much. And there is nothing wrong with feeling like it's all too much. There is nothing wrong with overwhelm. The kindest thing we can do is just acknowledge it and go, shit, I'm overwhelmed right now. If we need to, make other people aware. Right now, I'm overwhelmed. I need time out. And take ourselves to a safe space where we can just allow ourselves what we need, gift ourselves what we need in the moment so that we can come back online as and when we're ready. Sometimes we've got to look deeper and turn deeper inwards to find an answer, because sometimes it as in our resistance is related to deep trauma or grief, in which case we shouldn't go it alone and we should seek professional help. You know, it's one thing if we've just had a little to do a little tiff with our neighbour or our child or something, and it's only a little tiny something. You know, maybe someone bumped into us in the supermarket by accident, or someone dropped the drink or something, just something and nothing. Maybe we stubbed our toes, we walked across the living room, that kind of thing. You know, we can sit there and we can manage that ourselves. We can manage that resistance that's showing up, and we can have mercy on ourselves without taking ourselves deep and struggling. But sometimes we need to seek professional help, because we need some help to keep us safe, keep us in that safe, secure space while we fathom out what's real for us, what's true for us, and help us really tune into our truth and process the whole situation. Surrender is the inner transition from resistance to acceptance, from no to yes. So surrendering to what is on our own can be perfectly amazing process to do. We're taking our power back. But it's also incredibly important, if we need to, just to get support from someone who's safe and secure, who knows what they're doing, especially with grief and trauma work, to really hold space for us, to enable us to get to that part of us where we can let be and let it go. Don't forget, you don't have to relive what it was, but to be able to be with sensations in our body, to acknowledge something and just sit with it as it is, and be able to feel safe and allow that while it transmutes itself into something a lot more comfortable. So far in our practices today, we've allowed ourselves to think and feel pretty much on a surface level. We're now going to take it deeper. We're going to go from our head space into our heart space. And our heart space can be the most beautiful place that we can be, especially as we go on the next step to our self-development, self-evolution. So I'm going to welcome you taking part in this guided meditation, connecting to the breath. Connecting to the breath and allowing yourself to breathe. Getting comfortable now. Just allowing yourself to breathe. Breathing naturally. Don't have to take conscious breaths. Just allow yourself, you're breathing anyway. It's okay. Close your eyes if you can. And become aware of your body. Noticing the breath entering your body. How does it feel? Does it carry any scent with it? Does it hold any taste? Feeling the air entering your lungs. Feeling your chest rising and falling. Become aware of your body's positioning now. Feeling comfortable. Feet feeling deeply connected to the floor. Feeling safe, secure and grounded. Scanning your body now. And as you scan each part of yourself, feel into your head and release any tension that you feel as you feel into each part of your body. Feeling into your neck. Feeling into your shoulders, your arms and your hands, your chest, your back, your stomach, your bottom, your legs, your ankles, your feet, your toes. Releasing any tension held in your body with each exhale. Now visualize feeling the warm and loving light of the sun, illuminating and protecting your body with its golden rays. And hear the mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Place your hands on your heart, allowing your mind to bring up a recent situation that is fresh in your mind, not related to trauma or grief. Maybe a tiff with a partner or colleague. And watch this playing out, just like you're watching a movie. You're the witness, freezing the frame at the part which is most prominent in your mind. Ask yourself, what is happening inside you? And notice this too belongs. What feelings are most intense? Notice this too belongs. Can you sense any form of resistance? In what way are you saying no to your true feelings? Is there any blame, judgment, criticism? Are you trying to help or fix yourself or another? Imagine all your worries, your fears and your doubts as energies rising out from inside of your body, all coming together to meet into one swirling ball. Watching as the sun takes over now and draws these inner frustrations into the strong rays. Notice how you now feel so much lighter. Taking a few full deep breaths. Bringing up the same situation now. And watch this. Watch this like you're watching a movie. Freeze the frame at the bit which is most painful in your mind. And ask yourself, can I allow myself to be with this? And feel these raw feelings authentically, without judgment, without criticism, without trying to fix or change this. And sense that you can allow this to be. You can allow this to be. You're giving yourself permission. And investigating courageously, without bias, as an observer, with the curiosity of a child. What is happening inside of me? Witnessing the layers of vulnerability. What feelings are most intense? Place your hand there and tune in to your future self, your highest and wisest self. What comforting words of love and compassion can you gift your innermost vulnerable self today? This is your future self, your highest and wisest self, your inner sage. Sharing comforting words of love and compassion. Gifting your innermost vulnerable self that love and compassion, what it needs today. Please take a moment to pause and slowly, ever so slowly, in your own time, open your eyes. You just allowed yourself to feel. If you felt numb, that's perfect. If you feel angry or felt angry, that's perfect. If you felt guilty, it's perfect. If you felt curious, perfect. If you felt sad, perfect. If you felt silly, perfect. It's all perfect. However you felt, you allowed it to be so. And so I'm so proud of you. It takes courage to allow yourself to try and feel. And the more that we try and feel ourselves, the more in tune with our true self, our capital T, true self, that will be. Recognizing and allowing is key for true success in any mindfulness practice. You've just taken part in what's called a guided rain meditation. How do you feel? Rain is a really effective way to help you remember how to move into your heart space. True feelings bring true healing and flow. The acronym RAIN stands for recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. So we're focusing on the problem, recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. R is recognize. So we're noticing inner resistance and we're pausing, not reacting, but responding instead of arguing, avoiding, judging, blaming. Remember, R is an awareness exercise, not a judgment exercise. This is about raising self-awareness. A is to allow, allowing yourself to sit with feelings without judgment, criticism, or trying to fix or change anything. I is about investigation. We're feeling into how you really are in this moment and where can you feel this in your body. Sometimes we can't always tune into the words that describe things, but often we can feel something, but we haven't got the words. So it's really important to try and feel. And if we feel numb, that's still a feeling. And it's still allowing ourselves to recognize that numb is still a feeling. It's still a very important part of the process and allowing it to be. And N is nurture. So knowing it's okay to feel exactly as you feel in this moment and allow your highest self to comfort you. That's where the compassion comes in. No, for big things with a lot of resistance, do not try to rush. Self-awareness practices, raising self-awareness and understanding. You know, some things do happen overnight. Some things do take 2 minutes and then you're like, woohoo, yes, nailed it. Sometimes it can take weeks and months of being. Don't rush. Concentrate on the R and notice just what's showing up. Recognize. Notice you're feeling inner resistance and just pause. Don't react. Respond by taking a pause. Don't get into any arguments with yourself. Don't get into avoiding what's there. Don't try and judge or blame anyone or anything, including yourself. Excuse me. Remembering it's an awareness exercise. It's not a judgment exercise. This isn't about giving yourself a hard time. It's radical compassion. It is meeting yourself. It's giving yourself some love and going, oh yeah, this is as I am right now. And that's okay. Giving yourself permission to be, however that being is, right there in the moment. Keep recognizing it. Oh, there it is again. I see you. I feel you. And then go on with your day. As you learn to recognize the sensations in your body or words that come up and things more and more, you will eventually start seeing patterns, or definitely have courage to move on to the next step, but only when you're ready. Allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to sit with the feelings without giving yourself a hard time, without criticizing yourself, without trying to fix anything or change anything, just allowing it to be. Give yourself permission to be with it exactly as it is. So it's allowing it to be and just sitting with that. So at first you're giving yourself permission to recognize that it exists. And then you're allowing it to have the space to just be and be present with that. It could just take a few seconds, a few times a day to just be with it. And that's fine. Starts off with a second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and then you retract, and then maybe next time you might manage it for 10 seconds, and then maybe you'll retract, and maybe eventually you'll manage a minute, and maybe then you'll eventually manage a couple of minutes. It's okay. Remind yourself that in the present, right here and now, you are safe. The past can't harm you here in this moment. The future is not here yet. Take your time and allow it to be with you. Witness it without trying to do anything else. It just simply is. Just a note here about safety and here in the moment. Sometimes we find ourselves in an environment that isn't feeling safe. It doesn't feel secure. We can't feel at ease. An environment's really important to us. So it's really important, if that's the case, to find somewhere where you do feel safe and secure. Maybe it's sitting on the toilet for a minute. Maybe it's nipping out, and when you're outside the house, maybe it's a church group, or maybe it's an online course space, or a women's circle, or a men's circle, or a mixed circle. Maybe it's somewhere where it's a community group. Maybe it's just walking the dog in the park. Finding yourself that somewhere safe is really important. And if you can't find your safe space without someone holding space for you, then you find yourself a therapist so a therapist, or if you don't trust therapists, you can find yourself, say, a spiritual practitioner. Spiritual means that you're looking for the light within yourself. It's nothing religious. It's nothing set in stone or anything like that. It's nothing culty. You don't want any of that shit. You want to find someone who is a safe space to be, that holds space without judging you. Okay. And when you find that place to be, maybe it's at a monastery, and maybe it's with some monks somewhere, maybe it's at a local knitting group. Anything's possible. Just find that safe space and allow it to be. After the rain with Ho'oponopono. After the rain, you may have many things come up for you. These can be more opportunities to clean and let go. So rain helps you pause, recognizing instead of being reactive. It can take you into your heart. It can help you go deeper. It can change your life by simply raising your self-awareness. Hey, Betty. Using the Ho'oponopono can allow you to recognize there's something going on and then respond without being reactive, taking 100% responsibility for thoughts, language, and behavior. Allowing yourself to be with the thoughts and feelings without judging, without trying to fix or change, criticize or blame, and clean on what's coming up. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Loving awareness, Ho'oponopono and rain enables you to pause and take a U-turn. So you're noticing that I'm running away from this resistance, and you can turn right back and come back to meet yourself so you can be more real and authentic with your truth and yourself in the moment. Making a U-turn from our thoughts to our feelings reconnects us to our inner experience and creates the grounds for connecting with others in a more authentic way. It's a movement that takes us from our head space to our heart space. If any more resistance comes up after the rain experience, remember, you can do it again, rain. You can use rain as often as you like. You can use Ho'oponopono, loving awareness, as often as you like. They're incredibly versatile practices. Anytime you feel something a little bit uneasy, remember, what is it going on? Allow yourself to meet there with that. Allow it to be, just noticing it first and then allowing it to be. And just simply, like, maybe you can't allow it to be, maybe you're recognizing it and you can jump in with the Ho'oponopono. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. You might struggle with the recognize, oh, I'm seeing it now. Drop into the breath. Catch your breath and just concentrate on breathing. It's all good, all is well. Remember, if the issue is related to grief or trauma, do not go it alone. Reach out. There's me and there's thousands of amazing people out there that are practitioners with rain, grief and trauma, Ho'oponopono. It's best to find someone that has more than just like the Ho'oponopono or more than just the rain practice or loving awareness, someone that really goes into something on a deeper level, like Buddhists and spiritual practitioners, people like that, mindful psychotherapists and things. Our breath in a very short time can take us from to, it connects us to all that is, and it's the doorway to our soul. Ho'oponopono helps us to pause, focus on the problem, and clean the layers of frustration. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I thank you. Like Ho'oponopono and rain, they both rarely work in one sitting. So you need to be committed to your journey. Keep up with your affirmations. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Recognize, allow, investigate, nurture. Be committed to your journey to self. If you're committed to yourself, you really will not fail. Remember your journey, it looks different every day. But while you're trying, even if that's once a day, even if that's once every other day, it's even when you've got the courage to do it and you've remembered, then fucking yes, you're doing it. You're not going to fail. You're showing up. And that showing up is different every day. Be kind to yourself. Remember, you can use rain whenever you feel resistance. Recognize what's going on. Allow it to be. Investigate into what it might feel like and nurture. Remember, meet yourself with some self-compassion. Have mercy on yourself. Our end goal is to attain some form of inner peace. And inner peace is an amazing thing, but sometimes you just get blips of it and then it's gone. And with time, our inner peace really does build up and we become way more resilient. And not just in the one situation, but our whole life. And this is called, attaining this is called the peace of I. This is the peace we achieve through applying Ho'oponopono in our daily lives. We can achieve this through taking responsibility for what we can control, coming to terms with what we can't control, admitting that we're not perfect, we make mistakes, but we show gratitude for everything in existence and showing ourselves and others unconditional love. As the famous line from Star Trek, The Next Generation goes, resistance is futile. We know that authority can abuse power, but for the most part of the struggle against our incarceration really does make our lives worse. So a better way of coping is to stop resisting, let go, let be, and allow experience to teach us. That experience is going through things and just being with what is. It's a valuable spiritual lesson too. Many of us fight so hard, not against injustice as we should, but against things that life presents to us that we don't want. To resist and struggle constantly about everything unpleasant in life, it diverts our attention from the deeper lessons that spirit, that ourselves wants to learn. And there's a time to resist and a time to surrender. Without both, change and growth is not possible. So don't forget, any questions, drop me a message. Don't go this alone. Thank you so much for showing up today. You are awesome. I genuinely love you from the bottom of my heart. I'm so glad that you have taken the time and effort to be here in this space and you are committed to working on your growth. May your day be smooth and with ease. May your nights be pleasant and just really have mercy on yourself. Big loves.